I've got a really good movie idea.
Talk to me.
That you could star in. A brilliant scientist that wants to
Who hangs out with an idiot.
take a little flask that dramatically changes his body. The nutty thick fella. I thought that was going.
We just go straight to the jock.
The jock.
Straight to the jock. Straight to the drop.
I thought that was pretty good.
Well, you'll be alone. What's going on, guys?
Guys, another thing that we actually didn't know is there was apparently a Ratchet & Clank movie in 2016. I had no idea about that until we did a bit of research before this episode, because we're talking about video games and movies today. You didn't know either.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I didn't hear about this. Or at least, if I'd heard about it, it must have been forgettable enough to forget.
Well, the Metacritic score isn't very favourable.
It's pretty low.
Now, there are a lot of hit and misses within the video game movie space. Let's do the drop. Let's get into it. Let's talk about what PlayStation is looking to do in the future. All this and more after the thick drop.
Video game movies. They've had an interesting past. They started out terribly. They got less terrible. And I think they're now at the point where they're kind of starting to get a little bit of respect.
I think you think that. I personally think that there's been big hit and misses. We start from, the 80s when they made that ridiculous Mario movie, which was the weirdest thing ever.
It's pretty bad.
Street Fighter, okay, bit cringe,
Mortal
but
Kombat was great.
Mortal Kombat was great for how terrible it was. It was almost like the Room of games. It really was, right?
I wasn't that bad, but it was good.
And then we saw Lara Croft. I saw that when I was like 13 or something.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. And of course we've seen more and more movies come out as the years have gone on. It's definitely a space that I think is going to get a lot bigger and bigger. I believe it's going to be like the Marvel of the next 10 years. The Marvel space is maybe not dying out, but like they're exhausting a lot of that IP. What better than to do video game stuff? PlayStation have come out today and said that they've got some big plans regarding that.
As part of Sony's latest corporate strategy meeting, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan goes on to divulge a bit of information about the company's plans for getting into the film business. So he says, "We will continue to strengthen the experience for our community through the collaboration with partners and across Sony Group. One especially noteworthy collaboration is in our ongoing work with Sony Pictures to adapt key game IP for film and television entertainment, with 10 projects currently in various stages of development." Okay,
so we know there's a couple in development. We haven't been told all 10, but some of them are Uncharted movie, Tom Holland, of course, and Mark Wahlberg. And Ghost of Tsushima, which could be pretty cool, because you were saying before that you think that the guy in charge of the new John Wick movie actually has done some good stuff and it might make it pretty cool.
Well, I mean, he did John Wick.
John Wick is pretty damn cool.
I think if you're going to choose someone to do a Ghost of Tsushima adaptation, you either want the guy who did John Wick or the guy who did The Last Samurai. I'm going with the former, but either way, it works for me.
And I think that the guy that played Jin Sakurai, he actually wants to play this role. I did see
Jin Sakai,
whatever. He was actually on social media, or people were calling for him to play it, something along those lines. So hopefully he gets to reprise his role in that. On top of that, there's Twisted Metal, and there's a TV show regarding that, and also, of course, The Last of Us TV show. Now that is probably going to be an absolutely gigantic thing.
That's the big one.
That's going to be the big one.
And did you know that it's being done by the guy who did Chernobyl?
You told me that before. I'm gonna pretend surprised.
But
oh my god, really?
For the sake of the camera and the audience,
I know?
I think it's better to phrase it as a question.
Good.
And then we can organically react to the news.
I like that. But one thing did you actually know? This is not scripted. That the girl that was in Game of Thrones, that like little queen girl, that was really good at acting, and she was like the speaker of her particular clan. She's playing Ellie.
Wait, what little queen girl?
Oh, I don't know what her name is, guys. I'm going to put a photo up there. But, like, that's pretty much all we know. But, look, one thing I will say before we even get further into this, there has been some hit and misses within, the film industry with video games. To have Sony Pictures behind them, to have them that have done Deadpool, Spider-Man, already superhero movies, that maybe might give them a really good edge in terms of connecting with the gamer audience. Because let's face it, a lot of superhero movies, a lot of gamers, they like that shit, right? So this may be it's good to have them in their corner. That's what I mean.
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing, because if you look at the wording and what Jim says, one especially noteworthy collaboration is now ongoing work with Sony Pictures. So this is very much a PlayStation initiative. This is very much the PlayStation brand taking this and going with it. Obviously, the Sony Pictures have done some amazing projects over the years. They did Blade Runner 2049. They've done like films, man. They know what they're doing.
They've done films, man.
So I think with that distribution powerhouse behind them, and Sony's, I mean, in my opinion, they execute their intellectual property really well. They've got some good stories to tell. So I think that combination could be really powerful. And lastly, I'll say that having these names on board, having Marky Mark and Tom Holland as part of, Uncharted,
and the Chad.
having you can't forget Chad,
the Chad,
the director of John Wick. Having these really big names is the best shot that the video game movie market segment has at sort of really breaking into the mainstream and earning some respect. Because you did have Detective Pikachu, which came out recently. I really liked it.
I thought it was great.
I thought it was good. It was fun. I think it trended towards what video game movies should be. I mean, people who played video games in the 90s have grown up. They're now 30 and they're in the 30s and 40s. Right? They want a bit of they want a bit of a more of a mature kind of approach.
It depends. I think that each game has its own soul, and I think that each game, each movie or each TV show needs to capture that. Witcher is a perfect example where I think it really did capture what The Witcher is, for me at least. I think Detective Pikachu, you're right there. Sonic, man, that was a really good movie.
Sonic was awesome.
I think that really blew me away. I thought that was going to be the giant meme of 2020, but it actually wasn't. It was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, I think the question for me is, we know 3 of these, movies, or 4, but we don't know what the other 6 or so are going to be. What do you think they're going to be?
Interestingly, they've confirmed, a Sony spokesperson has confirmed that it is not God of War. So God of War is not one of these 6.
Previously on God of War.
Boy. I would watch that. Yeah.
I would watch that too. But okay, so you think Horizon Zero Dawn? That's probably one.
Yeah. Look, I think Horizon's a really good fit. Tells an interesting story. It's got a great setting for a film. You could definitely cast Ygritte from Game of Thrones as Aloy.
Yes.
She wouldn't even really need to do much makeup or costume.
She's pretty much already there.
She's just like Jon Snow.
Yeah, nothing Jon Snow. Then there's also, of course, just to quickly go through them, Sackboy, man. That's going to be great for the kids.
Yeah, I think
it's all about the kids.
To do like an animated Sackboy film could be really good kind of holiday money spin for them.
Christmas stuff. And
Sackboy's cute.
And there's also, of course, David Cage, his kind of more psychological, deeper, darker kind of stuff. I think that could be interesting. The last thing I want to touch on before we kind of finish is, the thing is, right, there's been a lot of failed attempts and a lot of good stuff too, right? But, we saw Mortal Kombat recently. We don't have to go into it too much, but we have different
You can watch our review.
Watch our review. I think that, yet again, they didn't understand what tone was needed to really execute this in a way that we kind of want from movies in terms of video games now. So I just wonder how many times that they may try this, and let's just say that the first attempt isn't great. So let's just say the second attempt isn't great. I wonder if this is going to be something that they're really committed to, or they're only really wanting to try 2 or 3 productions first, and not all 10 are actually scheduled to come out. Maybe they're just doing an Iron Man and they just want to try one, see how it goes, and then if that's successful, then they continue with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, his wording's very specific. He said we've got 10 projects at various stages of development. That could be as simple as Inception, not the film.
Still finding the writer. And
just conceptualizing what that film would be, and then laying down the groundwork with some other films, testing the waters and seeing if there's a market for their ideas. I think the PlayStation properties that they have, if you use your imagination, they can be adapted to film in really great ways. They just need to find out who can write these stories well and who can direct them properly for actual audiences.
Who can execute them.
Historically, I think the problem with video games, movies, is that the ones of the 90s and the 2000s, they were made for kids. Or they weren't made for the market that has really grown up. The average gamer is like 35, 36. It used to be 32 years ago, but they're all growing up. So the age just keeps creeping up. It's
an interesting space. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before they do figure it out. And maybe there's so much money, there's so much expertise, there's so many people in that corner in terms of the Sony's corner that have done superhero movies or just know how to execute a great story within games. Hopefully all that culminates together and actually starts making some really, really cool video game movies, but we have to see. Lots to say though.
Yeah, and the last thing is it almost seems so perfectly timed because you know how PlayStation started using those that really Marvel style splash screen on all their exclusives. It's like they're really trying to build this PlayStation brand. And I suppose the last point I'll make is that I hope this is really successful, so then Microsoft will license out their products.
Or not only license them out, maybe they'll just make them themselves.
I don't see them making films. I really don't.
Well, Halo's apparently still happening somehow.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Anyway, that's another discussion.
But
guys.
that would be cool.
It's exciting to see what they're going to be doing. I think in the next 10 years, as I've said, it's going to be video game. It's going to be video game mania when it comes to movies. But I have to say, until next time, guys, thank you so much. Love you, appreciate you. Later out.